Intercepted calls expose ECOWAS coup plot in Burkina Faso. What if the people in charge of keeping peace were actually trying to start a war? What if the organization meant to build things up was secretly planning to tear it all down? On April 22, 2025, the government of Burkina Faso made a completely insane announcement. They said they intercepted phone calls. And these weren't just any phone calls. According to them, these calls exposed a secret plot. A plot to give weapons to terrorists, start a coup, and throw the entire country into chaos. But who was behind it? The government didn't just blame people inside the country. They claimed there was a huge conspiracy backed by a neighboring country, which means the regional group they're all a part of, ECOWAS, was involved. The claim is that these recordings literally expose a plan to overthrow the government and put the country under the control of some secret international organization. So in this video, we're breaking down these insane allegations. We're looking at the evidence, who's involved, and the accusations that could literally set West Africa on fire. Is this undeniable proof that these new governments were right to be suspicious? Or is this the most clever piece of fake news in a massive information war? To understand how we got here, you have to know about the massive split that just broke West Africa in half. For literally decades, ECOWAS was the main club for everyone in the region. It was started way back in 1975 to make everyone rich and peaceful. But for some countries, that promise felt like a total lie. In Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger, the military took over and put new leaders in charge. And these leaders said the old system, which they believed was controlled by France, had completely failed them. It failed to stop insane terrorist groups and failed to give them any real economic freedom. To them, ECOWAS became a puppet for other countries, always punishing African leaders who stepped out of line, but never helping when their people were being attacked. The absolute breaking point was a coup in Niger in July 2023. ECOWAS, with its Western partners, threatened to send in the army and crush the country with sanctions. For the military leaders in Mali, Burkina Faso, and Niger, this was the ultimate betrayal. They didn't see it as restoring democracy. They saw it as a declaration of war. Their response changed the entire game. In September 2023, they made their own group, the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES. It was a defense pact, basically screaming at ECOWAS, "An attack on one of us is an attack on all of us." Then, on January 28, 2024, they made it official and left ECOWAS for good. This set the stage for a completely new kind of fight, a war fought with spies and secrets. That Cold War went totally hot in April 2025. The security minister of Burkina Faso, Mahamadou Sana, said their spies got communications that exposed a major plot. The plan, he said, was for April 16th. It was supposed to be a massive attack to cause as much chaos as humanly possible. A group of soldiers were allegedly going to storm the presidential palace in the capital. At the same time, terrorist attacks were planned all over the country to make it impossible for the military to fight back. The proof, the government says, came from intercepted messages between a top Burkinabe military officer and the same terrorists the army was supposed to be fighting. The minister literally said, "Sensitive information was passed to terrorists, with the aim of sparking revolt against the authorities." But they didn't stop there. They named a bunch of people they said were in on it. But the craziest accusation was who was really in charge. Minister Sana said the masterminds were in a neighboring country and specifically named Ivory Coast as their base. Another official said the entire plot was run from an operations center in Abidjan. And the final goal, according to the government, to sow total chaos and place the country under the supervision of an international organization. That one sentence is everything. It makes this whole thing seem like a foreign mission to destroy Burkina Faso's freedom, which is the exact reason the AES gave for leaving ECOWAS. So you have to ask, why would this happen? Why would a neighbor and this whole regional group allegedly try to violently overthrow another country? To get it, you have to see the bigger game being played for the future of the Sahel. When Captain Ibrahim Traore and the leaders of Mali and Niger took over, they didn't just change presidents. They flipped decades of foreign policy upside down. They kicked out French soldiers, cut ties with the West, and went looking for new friends, especially Russia. This was more than just politics. It was about money. These countries have tons of resources like gold and uranium, and the new leaders sent a clear message. The days of foreign companies taking everything are over. That move sent shockwaves through the old guard. For France, it was a humiliating disaster. For ECOWAS powers like Ivory Coast and Nigeria, the AES was a direct threat to their power and their pro-Western team. The AES wasn't just a security team. It was a rival vision for West Africa's future, one where they control their own security and their own money. If you look at it that way, the alleged plot isn't just about one guy. It's about crushing a rebellion. If you can cause chaos in Burkina Faso, the heart of this new alliance, and put in a friendly government, you could break the alliance, stop the move to Russia, and send a massive warning to anyone else thinking of leaving the club. The accusation fits perfectly with the story the AES has been telling for years, that ECOWAS is no longer a community, but an enforcer for foreign powers. But there are two sides to every story, and right now these are still just claims. ECOWAS hasn't said anything about these specific accusations, but they've always said they're just trying to enforce their own rules against coups. They say their threats were meant to restore democracy, not to sponsor terrorism. Ivory Coast has also been silent, even though they've denied stuff like this before. People who support ECOWAS would say the government in Burkina Faso is just making up a story to stay in power. They'd point out that Burkina Faso is in the middle of a security crisis, with huge parts of the country controlled by jihadists. From this view, the government is just using a foreign plot to distract from its own failures and get everyone on their side. And what better way to unite a country than to invent a huge enemy? This is where the information war is an absolute mess. The government in Burkina Faso says it has recordings. The leader, Captain Traore, has even claimed before to have audio recordings of French agents working with terrorists. But none of this evidence has ever been made public or been proven by anyone else. Without the actual audio, it's just one person's word against another's. Still, for millions of people living in the Sahel, the government's story feels true. They've lived through the failures of the old system. They've watched foreign armies fail to bring them peace. They've seen their country's money go overseas while they stayed poor. To them, the giant crowds that support Captain Traore are real. They represent actual hope for a new future. The accusations against their neighbors and ECOWAS just confirm what many already believed, that the old powers will do literally anything to keep control. True or not, these allegations have thrown West Africa into an incredibly dangerous new era. The trust between the alliance of Sahel states and the rest of ECOWAS isn't just broken, it's gone. The idea of them talking it out feels more impossible than ever. This changes everything into a new kind of war. It's a war where spies are more important than soldiers, where a leaked recording can do more damage than a missile, and where winning over the public is the only goal. This alleged plot gives the AES the perfect excuse to go all in on their military-first strategy and tighten their control. It proves their argument that they can't risk democracy when they believe they're being attacked from everywhere. These accusations also push the AES even further from the West and deeper into partnerships with powers like Russia, basically drawing a new iron curtain across Africa. For the people of Burkina Faso, the stakes could not be higher. While their leaders warn of foreign plots, The country is still suffering from one of the world's deadliest wars. The real test for Captain Traore is whether he can deliver actual security, not just an amazing story of fighting back. The future of Burkina Faso, and maybe the entire Sahel, is hanging in the balance, trapped between a fight for freedom and the insane reality of non-stop violence. The story of these intercepted calls is really the story of a battle for Africa's future. On one side, you have a government claiming it has proof of the biggest betrayal imaginable. On the other, you have total silence and the argument that this is all a lie to hold on to power. The absolute truth is probably buried in some secret spy agency, hidden on an encrypted hard drive. But what people believe is true is already creating a new reality, drawing new battle lines and fueling a movement that wants to break from the past, no matter the cost. Is this the proof that West African nations need to go it alone, free from anyone else's control? Or is it a dangerous lie designed to drag the region into an even bigger conflict? Let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you want to follow this insane story and get more analysis on the forces that are completely changing Africa, make sure you smash that subscribe button and hit the notification bell. Thanks for watching.